happy Advent, still the 4th week of Advent. I could also say, well, somebody may need to correct me, little julaften, happy little Christmas Eve, little julaften, something like that. So anyway, we can wish you a Merry Christmas too in a Norwegian way. So let's proceed with our Advent hymn prayer that we've learned a bit, the simple chorus of Ben, Señor, no tardes. Ven, que te esperamos. Ven, Señor, no tardes. Ven pronto, Señor. Come, Lord, do not delay. We're waiting for you. Come soon, Lord. Ven, Señor, no tardes. Ven, que te esperamos. Ven, Señor, no tardes. Ven pronto, Señor. Ven, Señor, no tardes. Ven, que te esperamos. Ven, Señor, no tardes. Ven pronto, Señor. I thought I'd take you on a little walking tour of my house with some of the Christmas decorations inside and out, which for which I've received help from friends, old and young. And while I do that, I'll tell you about the way we used to celebrate at Fe y Esperanza, faith and hope, great Advent concepts, faith and hope orphanage, where I lived and served from 89, the end of 89 till we closed in 94. So I caught about 4 Christmases there. So I'll tell you about those as we wander around and see some Christmas decorations around my house. And then we'll have you share some of yours. Okay, so this is my Advent wreath. I changed the color to green already because, you know, as I said, it's little julaften, little Christmas Eve for us Norwegians. So the color is green, and I've surrounded it by some of my Christmas cards, Christmas cards made by sisters and nieces mostly. Well, some of you might recognize this place. A little greener than it is today, maybe. Maybe that's not a Christmas card. But anyway, and some of these, well, I think I have another bag or box of them somewhere, but I've been blessed by creative sisters and nieces and some friends who have sent me beautiful Christmas cards, which are treasures, which one of the main reasons I love Christmas is putting up all these treasures made by family and friends with all the lovely imagery, but also the lovely words that they contain. I read them and remember back over the last decades. And Canada Post and Correos de El Salvador have done reasonably well in getting them to me. One year I remember getting 2 sets of Christmas photos from my older sister, Marlis. One was from the year before, and one was from the current year. The year-old photo envelope was a bit worse for wear, but the photos weren't bad. The envelope barely survived, had survived in some storage bin for a year. I got 2 sets of Christmas photos, all on the same day. And most of these cards, of course, show up in post-Christmas, January, February, March, April, May. So I get to celebrate Christmas through much of the year as cards arrive from Canada. And that's still the case. And some I've hung above the dining area. So I can see those. It's a little harder to read them, but. And my green tablecloths, and these are from Guatemala. Serviettes. And it doesn't hang as low as my anil, my blue indigo one. So it's a little hard for Tova and I to play through it. I let Tova bite my hand through the tablecloth because it's a little safer than without the tablecloth. But this one doesn't hang low enough to play with. And with this nativity scene, I did have a longer tablecloth on it, and Tove and I would play through it, but he dragged the whole thing down. It was too light. So not meaning any mischief, I'm sure, but he dragged the whole nativity scene down a couple times. So here are some other collections of Christmas cards from the years. I can't set them all out. I'd have to move if I was gonna set all my Christmas cards out. Hundreds of them. And they get mixed up a little with the birthday and Easter cards, I guess, too. So the tree is the usual ficus. It's seems to fill the space best for a reasonable price. A couple of years ago, I did get a Canadian Christmas fir tree, which worked fine. So I bought it with the roots and thought it might last for the next year, but it didn't. It didn't take hold, and so it died. And the next year I went back, and they were much more expensive. So I went back to ficus, which do last if I plant them in a good spot. They do last. One I had for 17 years. So that was marvelous. So I've got a lot of Christmas tree ornaments. Actually, this nativity scene I just bought at a prisoner fair a couple of weeks ago. So they've made this at one of the prisons, and I used to work with them in prisons for many years, 20 years. So I am glad to have them represented in my Christmas scene here, nativity scene. And almost I could spend the hour just telling about Christmas ornaments, tree ornaments made by friends and family, and just so creative. So many of my nativity scenes are made of tusa, they call it, corn husk. So the farmers don't throw away their corn husks, they make nativity scenes out of them. And this is a birthday gift from a friend, actually, a young orphan friend. I worked with them and his dad, actually, years and years ago, 20 years ago. And that's a long story too, but here he is with his dad. He's the little guy, 3 years old. The dad was killed, and so he was orphaned, and we cared for him until May, when he died of June, when he died of COVID. But he has made many of my ornaments here. For instance, if you don't want to throw away your toilet paper rolls, just send them down and he'll make them look like this. Here are more corn husk nativity sets. A different style, a wooden one. Some of you may recognize this style. I think I showed it already. Made locally by Phil Berg from a tree on his farm when they lived in Eckville, the farm in Eckville. So he's made a few of these, and I'm sure maybe you've seen them around. Well, here's another wreath. I don't know if you can see it with the shadow here. A wreath made out of toilet paper rolls as well, mostly. Recycled. And a few collections of mini nativity sets. Blown over by the wind, some of them, but from Peru. Catherine, you might recognize the Peruvian style. The doors have broken off. Some clay ones and some wooden, and we'll have to fix those. Anyway, let's go outside and I'll show you a bit more. We have some other ornaments here. You want to go swimming? I could take you to the pool. I just cleaned it and filled it this morning. So I call this now my coffee plantation. I don't know if anybody else collects used coffee bags. I've done it for 20 years, and so they've been all hung the last couple of weeks by a friend who was quite enthused about. Actually, he was interested in the date or the place of each coffee bag and the date. So he's made like a museum of Salvadoran coffee bags here, and some boxes of coffee powder too. So with the sun, you might not see these very well. He had a great time investigating all these copies over the last 20, 30 years and hanging them as Christmas decorations. And in the middle of my yard, I planted, 30 years ago, I planted 3 little plants of, what do we call them? Anyway, they grew up and took over half the yard. And suddenly they died this year, leaving this spot empty and rather dull. So we cleaned it all out and made a little stable with sheets and all, like we used to do in my aunt's basement. So anyway, we have this little stable here with another nativity set. This one's made of clay from a town which specializes in this, so they can get wet and it doesn't matter. I'd hope the paint doesn't wipe off. But so this is our little outdoor nativity scene, our stable manger scene, with a little chair for the little people that come to visit. Oh, and with another, if you have styrofoam cups, you can make a chandelier too. So at night, that each cup has a different colored light inside of it. So a multicolored chandelier lighting up this stable at night. You'll have to come back in the evening to see that. And if we turn around, we'll see the hammock beside my cool pool. This we installed 2.5 years ago, just before the pandemic. So it's served me well when I've had to stay home these last couple of years. So I can dip in my cool pool when temperatures rise to 30. And another friend, Gabriel, who was just here visiting again a couple of days ago, he did the mosaic for me. We designed it together and he did this, and it was his first attempt. He had never done a mosaic before, but he did fine in a couple of days. It came out very well. Little octopus figure in the middle, and then a dolphin in the middle. And with the waterfall, this was made by a friend from 30 years ago. And his dad, they're both bricklayers and plumbers. So they put their talents together, their experience together, and with a younger friend, came up with this waterfall and pool. And then in the back here, we've got another tent. I guess I don't know if we use it much, but it could be for quarantine maybe. And it's used for storage and it's an alternate space. And then the little walkway around the back of this, here's the activity scene inside again. And animals everywhere. The kids love coming to play. We have moose and gorillas. And my ladder to the roof where I grow my veggies and my lettuce. I have lettuce at sunrise every morning. Little salad. This is the backside of the waterfall pool. Another gathering of the beasts. And an Indian chief who is kind of faded. Nooks and crannies here. I'll tell you about how we used to celebrate Christmas at Fe y Esperanza, Faith and Hope Orphanage. When I started there, we had up to 150 children and youth staying there. And Christmas was a huge deal. We celebrated with a big banquet to start with. That was a big deal. Great food. We always ate well, but Christmas banquet was especially nice. Then we had some gift opening. They made gifts for one another, drew names and made Christmas gifts, shared them among themselves. Then we took to the neighborhood. They had prepared over the months, well, years really, the pastorela, the Christmas pageant. And costumes and music and all of this took them years and years to prepare. And they did this every Christmas, dozens of them. And they took this all around the neighborhood, a magnificent production that was very well received by the neighbors. And now, I suppose they must miss that production. Following the pageant, we had the dance at Fe y Esperanza. Some fireworks. Fireworks are a major thing in El Salvador, but we limited those a little with the kids. But we had some. But the dance was the big thing, and we invited all the neighbors to join us, and they did. A lot of neighbors came to dance with us, and a lot of visiting delegations too. We had European, North American delegations, and anyone that was in El Salvador for the Christmas vacation from those countries usually joined us and spent the night dancing with us. So those were very, very special Christmas celebrations. When Fe y Esperanza closed, well, I missed those. The kids moved to neighboring areas and they would invite me to their Christmas celebrations. And I did join them a couple of times. But I found that the atmosphere was quite different. Wherever I went, there were a lot of people drinking, over drinking. Not necessarily our people, but neighbors, and everybody was on the streets. And people would assume that since I had a car, I would be the taxi driver. So let's go visit Aunt so-and-so. Let's go visit our cousins. Let's go visit our friends. And Brian's got a car, so let's go. And there were accidents everywhere, guns everywhere, police barricades everywhere. And it was not a pleasant, peaceful Christmas Eve, Silent Night, Holy Night for me at all. And always somebody who had had too much to drink thought they were bilingual, and so would put their face about 2 inches from my face and entertain me forever. Well, a couple minutes is okay, but half an hour gets a bit too much. So eventually I just decided to stay home for Christmas Eve. And I would go on my roof and watch and listen to the fireworks from a distance. And that was much better. And I've always had some visitors anyway. So, and in fact, yesterday one showed up. He in his town, Santa Marta, is involved. He's in his 30s, but he always does this pageant too in his hometown of Santa Marta. Today, this year he's going to miss it because he, with a bunch of friends, went to the beach a couple of weeks ago and were playing soccer, and he got hit. And he's a hemophiliac, so when he gets a bad knee, it's a bad knee. It takes a month to heal, and he can barely walk. So he was in the hospital for a week or two, and I just picked him up yesterday. They want to kick all the patients out of hospital for Christmas. So he's here, and will celebrate Christmas with me. And his brother lives here too. He's also a hemophiliac, and he has pain every day. So, but he's doesn't have such mobility issues. It's more internal bleeding. So anyway, the two of them are celebrating Christmas together with me here. And another guest just left, Angel. and he won a turkey, so he's going to celebrate with his family. His brother lived here for a few Christmases too. He's now moved to England and now Ireland as a refugee claimant in the United Kingdom, British Isles. So I'm and at lunch, I'm going for lunch with a Dutch friend who's been here forever too. She's my age and has spent most of her life in Nicaragua and El Salvador. So we're going for lunch today. So a lot of Christmas visiting. That's the style here. Some Christmas baking. I don't get into that. More the decorating and singing. I've only been to one Christmas concert this year. That's unusual. You usually have a lot of parties and concerts, and it's a delightful country to be celebrating Christmas in with a lot. But this year, I just went to the National Chorus concert last Friday evening. They sang very well. And I was going to join them again Sunday afternoon in a park, but I had a house full of visitors all Sunday afternoon too. So that didn't happen. Anyway, so those are some of the Christmas traditions here. And Kendra, I sent Kendra some photos and she's put some of those together. And let's have a look at those and I'll tell you a little about those too. Oh yes, let's read the Magnificat. Sorry, we skipped the Magnificat from Advent 4. Let's read that first. If somebody would help or sing it, if somebody's inspired to sing it, there are so many lovely melodies for the Magnificat. So if somebody could help us with reading or singing this, please.
In those days, Mary set out and went with haste to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and proclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leaped for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. For he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever."
Thank you. Yes, we think of meek and mild Mary. Mary, according to the Magnificat, was quite revolutionary, bringing down the high and mighty and bringing up the lowly. So the Magnificat, this gospel, Christmas gospel, is very appropriate for Salvadorans, and especially Salvadoran women who are always struggling to be recognized and be treated with dignity and respect, and not with violence. This is in front of my house, on the street in front of my house, nativity scene, Mary and Joseph and the babe, and often with Tova in the middle of it too. I don't know, did I send one with, oh yeah, there's Tova. Tova feels like he's part of the nativity scene. So as people walk by my house, as they do, I've got about 30 neighbors living inside the cul-de-sac where I live. So they see the nativity scene on their way. Yeah, that's the prisoner nativity scene. Just purchased a couple weeks ago. Some different scenes around my house. So here's one. I don't know, is Bishop Telmer Sardison and Addie join us in the evenings. And this one is from the national office, I think 98. So from Telmer Sardison and Calvin Krieger and Gertrude and I wonder if you recognize this one. Can anyone
Well,
tell
I
us about
do
this?
because I see my name.
This was made by a very good friend of Catherine's, and I know Patty too, and see her on Facebook. We correspond on Facebook a bit, but I'm sure she's in much closer touch with Catherine, Patty Kuyati.
Yes, she's a marvelous person.
And this is from what year in Peru?
Well, I don't know. One of them.
I put the date on there. Can you see that?
Where is it? At
98
the
too,
top,
maybe.
98. Yeah.
98, the same as the year as that card from the ELCIC Winnipeg office and Bishop Telmer. Yes. 23 years ago, just a quarter century.
Gee.
And this is from my sister, Gail. So the ornaments I showed you are made by Raul, who I mentioned died in June of COVID. 4 siblings, 2 adopted and 2 were children of the guy who hung the coffee bags last week. They all died within a month of each other, one each week in May and June of COVID. And I hate to say that the guy who was here Thursday, delighting, we had a delightful day. He was in very high spirits on Thursday. This is a star just above my place that they built, that they made. And so as he left, he got a call from the Ministry of Health saying that he had tested positive with COVID. He had been caring for a 10-year-old orphan, a neighbor girl who was orphaned, and she came down with COVID. And evidently he picked it up too and had felt fine up until Thursday. Got this notice on Thursday as he was leaving here late afternoon. And by Sunday, he was gasping for air and we had to get him some oxygen. And since Sunday, he's had, I think, 3 or 4 heart attacks and is barely able to breathe. So he was struck hard and fast just in the past week, and we're praying for his life. He's come close to death so many times. We're like a Netflix series almost. He's faced so many crises and always comes out of them in high spirits. So he needs prayers again now today, these days, to overcome COVID and all the effects that it is putting on him. So please pray for Beto. He gives his heart to so many people, and we hope he isn't giving his life this time.
Alexa has just sent me some pictures, I guess some Christmas nativity stuff at her home in Mexico that she'd like me to share. So I'm going to screen share those, Alexa, if you want to talk about them.
Great.
Sure. Well, we were talking about in the break rooms that for my family, like a huge deal to put like the nativity. My mom put like a little lake, the desert, all the winter. So she really makes like a huge deal of this. So I was going to share this beautiful picture. This is the native. This is
The crash.
pretty much you can see the little desert in the top of the picture is baby Jesus and everything. And there's another picture, which is the winter. I don't know. We don't have snow here, but even though we still put in it. That one is my little Christmas tree, and that one is will be just the snow and everything. But it was really amazing how my mom make all this every single year. She just take over for the living room on the or studio or something. She just put everything around a native. She just takes so much time to decorate it,
Yes, yeah.
and pretty much she's putting it after, like, she just put it November, December, January until February. So we have like a really long Christmas.
Yeah, some people really go all out. In Antigua, Guatemala, you can go around to 50 churches and spend all week seeing what they've done with their nativity scenes. Everything but the camel, I think. And a neighbor woman a block away is a retired lawyer, and she takes a whole month to set up her Christmas display in her home and invites people over. And she's been on Latin American television almost every year, showing her 100-some nativity scenes and village scenes. And it's just amazing. It takes at least an hour to appreciate all that she sets up over an entire month, and another month to take it down. One custom here that I find hard to accept, and some Salvadorans do too, it's the fireworks that are very dangerous, and Salvadorans know that. And
that's
so
all in
they're
Latin America.
trying to restrict more and more each year. But so many kids get burnt and killed each year. And so the strange part of it is that there's a jazz festival in February each year. And so the Shriners host this, and the proceeds go to the Children's Hospital for the children burn victims from Christmas. So you can drink beer and pay for the healing of the children that were burned at Christmas. It's the strangest thing. Yeah, it's I don't know why they don't. Well, they're moving toward banning it, but it's
Yes,
a
Silent Night.
slow thing.
Silent night is not silent night in Latin America. It's banging of pots and letting off of firecrackers and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a way to maybe turn it around and take care of the children first and then celebrate
Mhm.
somehow.
And they say the adults, the parents, are supposed to be responsible for their kids with the fireworks, but really it should be the other way around, because their parents are often too drunk to be responsible for themselves, let alone the children. It's quite a party. So I stay home. Anyway, in closing, I want to just read. I was telling you about Beto and his attack. As he left my place last Thursday, as we was walking home, he was recording. I'd asked him if he was interested in sharing his Christmas experiences with us, either written or recording, audio, video, visual, whatever. And I think he was going to do that, but then being sick, he hasn't been able. But just even on the walk home, he was recording, sent me 3 recordings, and I won't play the recordings; they're very emotional. But I've got the English transcription, so I'll close with reading what he had sent me on his way home last Thursday. Thank you, Brian, for having those lovely memories of my children. Here I am, walking and crying. So sad that my children are no longer with me this Christmas, Brian. Thank you for remembering them and for having them always in your heart and your mind. You don't know the sadness I'm feeling walking in life, but I'm moving dead. What sadness, seeing so many fathers with their children. At the same time, it makes me happy to see the image in the photo, so happy with Tova. You with Tova, who is my cat, hardly the same as his children, but my cat, Brian. Tova is your son, Brian. And we had so many good experiences with him and his kids in my yard, in my garden, that this was their therapy space, their playground, their everything. And he knows how to appreciate every flower, everything the cat does, the sky, every cloud. He's a master at appreciating. And so this was what he was reflecting on his way home before the news of, well, after the news, but before the illness of COVID hit him. So we'll pray for his recovery. And I think hit by caring for an orphan child who had COVID. So thank God for his witness and his sacrifice. Thank you for sharing, each of you, and God bless your little julaften, your little Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve tomorrow, Christmas Day, whether you're able to visit and worship in person or on live streaming, whatever works for you. And blessings to you and your families and your friends and your communities, your